Welcome to this week's episode of So, What's the Catch? We really appreciate you tuning in. Bryan, James, Churk Berzerk, and myself love doing this show every Wednesday. It gives us an opportunity to get together and discuss a wide variety of topics from across the sports world, be it from the National Basketball Association, Major League Baseball, or the National Football League. Occasionally we throw stuff in from the National Hockey League. But mostly we focus on the NBA, MLB, and NFL. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell everyone you know. Subscribe to the So What's the Catch YouTube channel, and also subscribe to Unger to the Max. We post every episode of So What's the Catch on both channels. That way there's more outlets for you to catch an episode. So maybe you haven't subscribed to So What's the Catch, which you should. Well, guess what? You can watch this week's episode on Unger to the Max. Maybe you haven't subscribed to Unger to the Max yet, which you should. Guess what? You can go over to the So What's the Catch YouTube channel and watch the video there. We like to give you various platforms to catch every episode. So with all that being said, welcome to today's episode of So, What's the Catch? So today is the last episode of So What's the Catch for the month of June 2022. Don't worry, we're not actually going anywhere. But I wanted to have a little bit of fun with it because it is the last week of June. So have a little fun with it. Anyway, yes, this is So What's the Catch? We do this thing every Wednesday from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the So What's the Catch YouTube channel. Subscribe to Unger to the Max. And follow the Sports Room Talk Show on Anchor and Spotify. Also, you can follow Guarding the Corner on thisisbelieveland.com. Bryan and James do an excellent job with their podcast. I still need to listen to your latest episode.
Get on that, man. What are you waiting for?
Here's a recap. Suck it, dead Twins owner.
Yeah. That's all you need to know.
Anyway, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Anyway, what? You don't know Mulan?
Why are we making Mulan references?
Yeah, it just
Carry on.
Anyway, I'm trying to have some fun with it. Sheesh, give me.
You're having a blast. It's just we're not
Man,
having any fun.
It's not even hour 2 yet.
You're welcome. Anyway, so the Colorado Avalanche are your 2022 Stanley Cup champions. They prevent the Tampa Bay Lightning from going for the three-peat. And yeah, the Avalanche won Game 6 2-1 on the road. In fact, they clinched all 4 of their series on the road.
Well, it's going to happen one of two places, at home or on the road. They just have to take care of business on the road. So,
yeah,
really a point flip.
Yeah,
I know. So,
no, but Cale Makar had a great series. I don't know. I wasn't really crazy about him being picked for Conn Smythe. I kind of thought McKinnon, to be honest. But I don't have any real problem with it. But that last game, he didn't really impress me. He had a -1 ± that game, whereas McKinnon had a goal and an assist in that game for the clinch. So I don't know. I thought it was an interesting choice, but it's hockey.
Yep, it is. Jared Bednar, the Avalanche head coach, he became the first coach to win a championship with the NHL, AHL, and the ECHL. Because although I don't remember who he won a championship with at the ECHL level, he was the head coach when the Monsters won the championship in 2016.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's what happens with good coaches. You know, you have success in the minors, you're going to eventually find your way to the pros, and it's, good for him to have continued success in Colorado.
So I guess that's enough hockey talk. So let's get to our special.
The reason I put it first, to get it over with.
That's exactly what I told Josh.
Yep. I kind of figured that.
It's a trophy. It's a championship. There's a champion has been crowned. It's important, but let's get it over with. We're done.
So, getting to the NBA, which is one of our big three, John Wall is headed to the Los Angeles Clippers after he gets bought out by the Rockets. I personally like this move. I think he will make a good third option to Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
I think so too.
If he can play anywhere near the level he was with the Washington Wizards, I think that makes the Clippers a very dangerous team in the West.
I think
let's talk about John Wall for a second. In his last full season, 23 points per game, 4 rebounds a game, just under 11 assists per game. Churk, he was an all-star.
Yes.
That was in 2016-17. He's been largely useless since then.
Well, hey.
This guy is injured, and he's not someone you can count on. So, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, we're just doing the Derrick Rose shit with John Wall now. Nobody cares.
I'm kind of with him on this one. I think John Wall's kind of his time came and went for him to be like one of the big three pieces on one of these championship caliber teams. I think the Clippers get better by doing it, but I don't think that they get like enormously better. You know what I mean? I think it's a slight improvement, but also, you don't know if you're going to be able to keep John Wall on the floor. And that's the other thing, is you're going to be able to stay healthy.
I mean,
if just unknown entity that is Kawhi Leonard and his ability just to disappear for a year at a time.
Yeah.
And, you have no idea what the Clippers are going to be. They could be a team that misses the playoffs. They could be a top 3 seed and eventually lose to the Warriors in the postseason. But, either way, I don't see them, raising the Larry O'Brien trophy anytime soon.
If they do that, what would you be shocked?
I would be very shocked. Listen, if the Clippers win the title next year, I will buy a John Wall Clippers jersey. Okay.
For every one of us.
No, just for myself. I don't have that kind of money.
It's not going to happen.
He doesn't have John Wall.
Class of the Western Conference.
Right.
I think we all agree there, though. So, you know what I mean? It's still there. It's theirs to lose at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think that adding John Wall puts them on a level with, Steph and Clay and Draymond. I just don't think that it does.
I agree with you on that one, Brian. But you brought up a very key phrase. If he can stay healthy. That statement doesn't just apply to John Wall in this particular case. It applies to Kawhi Leonard. It applies to Paul George also. These guys have a history of injuries. Because think about it. When the Clippers went to the Western Conference Finals against the Suns, Kawhi Leonard wasn't there. Maybe the Clippers do get to the finals that season if Kawhi is healthy.
And win it.
We don't know. Maybe they go on to play the Bucks in the finals and they win the title. I know that's a lot of maybes, but you never know.
A lot of ifs and buts. I mean, you make a good point. But I think that the biggest point you made there is that health is an issue for more than just John Wall on this roster.
Exactly.
It's hard to make predictions for a team that, you don't even know who's going to be available by the end of the season. So the Clippers are really a hard team for me to figure out. And that's why, the John Wall move, is it, good? Sure, but I still don't. I'm having trouble seeing how it plays out long term because you never know who's going to be on the court.
Yeah. And the other problem the Clippers have, and this also applies to the Brooklyn Nets, is they're going to play second fiddle to the other team in their town or in their state. Like the Clippers, they're always going to be the little brother compared to the LA Lakers. And the Brooklyn Nets, they're always going to be the little brother to the New York Knicks.
I mean, come on, let's be real here. New York doesn't fuck with the Nets. Come on. It's Knicks or nothing.
Yeah.
Even if the Nets win a title, they'll say Knicks.
They won't fucking care. They won't care at all.
No, that's what I'm saying.
The people that root for the Nets in the metropolitan New York City area live in New Jersey or Long Island. It's nobody in Manhattan. It's
or Brooklyn.
It's the people in Brooklyn, Queens, and the rest of Long Island and New Jersey. I mean, it's essentially the same like demographic that are Mets fans root for the Nets, but just less of them. Okay.
Yeah, it's a similar situation on both coasts. You know, the Lakers are obviously dominating in that market, and the Knicks own the New York market. Obviously, New Jersey had their run there with the Nets, and a lot of them still follow Brooklyn. But yeah, I don't see any kind of like New York love to the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, which is exactly what I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, the only reason I see the New York love maybe based on like just the logo. That's
nothing.
No,
you don't see anybody rocking Nets shit. Are you kidding?
I've seen people wearing rock Nets hats throughout my lifetime.
Okay, but compare that to the amount of people you've seen rock Knicks shit. Like Knicks shit, it's Knicks. It's Knicks or nothing.
You'd be surprised.
It's Knicks or nothing there, man. It isn't Brooklyn, okay? Like, there was that hot moment, like, when Jay-Z bought the team and they changed the colors. Everybody was kind of into the Nets, where they were, like, not good yet. And
was it when they had Darren Williams?
Yeah, when they tried having Jason Kidd as their head coach. Okay, that was a disaster. People were, in it on that. They were in it when Kyrie and KD first came to Brooklyn,
and Jared Allen was still on the team.
Sure, but that doesn't matter here. But nobody cared outside of those times. It's the Knicks. It's the Knicks. It's the Knicks.
Exactly, right. Which is a good transition because Kyrie Irving, after failing to find a sign and trade, which who knows if that was all legitimate or not, because you never know with Kyrie.
Yeah, it was. It was legitimate.
Definitely interested.
But he is remaining with the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, geez, I'd love that $37 million too. I mean, that's hard to turn down. But let's look at it here. It's a lot of money. He's playing on a team that's going to be good. At least they should be good. But let me ask you this: which team do you have less faith in, the Clippers or the Nets? Because I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the same. It's you don't know who's going to be available when, and you can't have any kind of continuity on the court. It's hard to become a championship team.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. I would actually say, if we're talking less confident, I would say the Nets, mostly because even though Kyrie has decided to go back to Brooklyn, I don't think this whole thing is over yet. Like, because
I'd put more stock in the Nets personally, just because they have Kevin Durant still, and Kevin Durant doesn't have a shot. So
and Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons has played 0 games for the
Nets.
Nets.
He still hasn't even been on the court for them yet. So I do think that he could be a valuable piece on that team, though. I think obviously defensively, but it's just you don't know. There's too many question marks with this team so far.
Yeah, hence why I'm saying I'm less confident in the Nets. I think there's just too many question marks. We don't know if Kyrie is going to stay long term. And if he doesn't stay long term, how does that affect Kevin Durant? And like, is Steve Nash really a proven head coach? I would say.
Well, that answer is no, because he's not a proven head coach. That's I can answer that real quick. He's not.
It was Kevin Durant's choice to have Steve Nash basically there.
Yeah, because you had Kyrie saying, "Oh, we're good enough that we don't need a head coach," and all that. And let me just say this: while I don't agree with a lot of the stances Kyrie takes in terms of outside sports stuff, on the court, I love watching him. He's got some of the best handles in the league, and when he gets going offensively, good luck slowing him down.
Yeah.
So I enjoy watching him on the court. Off the court, different story. But you have to separate those two when it comes to Kyrie.
Yeah, from a coaching standpoint, I mean, obviously Nash is unproven. The only reason I give him the edge is just because, to me, like, Durant and Kyrie they're more talented than,
they are.
Clippers. That you put them up against any two players on the Clippers, and they're clearly the more talented team in terms of top two.
I think Kawhi can be pretty good.
We're not talking about pretty good. We're talking about who's better, Kevin Durant or Kawhi versus.
Right. I might pick Kawhi actually.
I mean,
You're crazy.
Kawhi, but Kawhi's so inconsistent. You know, he like James said, like he every once in a while he has a year where it's just like that's not Kawhi. Like it's not Kawhi numbers. You know what I mean? He's just
And then all of a sudden he's like a superstar. Another year.
Durant, you always know what you're going to get with Kevin Durant. You know, his star has never faded. His numbers have never faded. Like no matter where he is or who he plays with, you know what you're going to get. Whereas, you know, we've seen Kawhi Leonard move around and not, you know, have automatic success every time that he's, you know, moved from one team to the other.
And then you added Paul George being one of the more overrated players in the entire league, and it's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
you're real cute. You gave yourself a nickname, but nobody cares until you win something that matters.
Yeah, I'm taking Kyrie over Paul George, and I'm taking Kyrie over John Wall every time. So
I'll give you that one. Let me ask you this, Brian. Is the gap for you, let me say it like this. Is it a large gap between Kyrie and Paul George? Or is it
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Both of them are Hall of Famers.
Okay, you throw everybody into the Hall of Fame way too early.
You really did.
Yeah, you did.
Number one. Okay, number two, there's one Hall of Famer in that group, potentially, and it's not Paul George.
Paul George is.
No, he's not. We've gone over this. He's not.
Yeah, he's
He's a 7-time All-Star.
So what?
I don't care.
The All-Stars every show.
Between Paul George and Kawhi, the only one who has a chance of making the Hall of Fame would be Kawhi. But
I mean, Paul George, I think, is a first ballot.
No, not even close.
Yes.
No way. But between
He's
the four of them,
he's good in his prime, and but like
he's a 6-time All-NBA team, 4-time defensive All-Team Hall of Fame numbers.
No.
Okay.
Brian even agrees.
Sure.
I mean, those are good. I was nodding my head like, yeah, those are obviously good accolades to have next to your name, but I'm not ready to put him in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like he's 32 years old. He still has, 4 or 5 years left in his career. We don't know what he's going to do.
And
That's
he's
right.
a 7-time All-Star.
Because to me, Hall of Famer means like you sustain success for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he has.
You go from 32. Yeah, but if he turns 32 this year, he's 32 now. So if he goes the next 4 years and doesn't win shit and his numbers decline, are you still going to say he's a slam dunk Hall of Famer? And I don't think that's the case.
Yes.
No.
I will.
Yeah, but you also think that Taco Fall should have started at center for the Eastern Conference last year. So
I was joking on that one. I was joking on that one, Brian.
Anyway.
I was joking on that.
Churk, this is why we call you the wild card, because we have no idea what the heck you're going to say, and we have no idea if it's going to be on topic or not.
we know if a player is even marginally good, though, you're ready to have a bust for him in the Hall of Fame. You know that.
But it's weird with Kawhi, because you're right. Ryan and James, I agree with you. Like, he'll have seasons like what he did in Toronto in 2019, where the Raptors don't even make it to the finals if Kawhi's not on that team. Let's get the record straight there. And
that was his MVP season, right?
Huh?
Was that the year after or the year of his MVP season? Kawhi's his most recent one.
I don't think he had an MVP. I think he had a Finals MVP.
My bad.
Yeah, he's won Finals MVP twice, but I don't think he's won league MVP yet.
Yeah, he hasn't.
But anyway, yeah, so he'll have a season like in 2019 where he led Toronto to the championship, which I think we all agree. If Golden State was fully healthy, they would have dismantled the Raptors in that series. And then he had the season in 2014 where the Spurs just took apart Miami. But then he'll have other seasons where it's like, Kawhi, are you even there? Are you going to play at all? So, I think you two are 100% correct.
I think his bust is in the Hall of Fame.
What are we? Is this the Hall of Fame show? Are we just going to run through the NBA?
No.
Listen.
No.
You're running with a whole group of players who belong in the Hall of Very Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Hall of Very Good is not good enough for a Hall of Fame.
Kawhi's won 2 championships, though.
A lot of players have won 2 championships. That doesn't put him in the Hall of Fame.
And
Exactly.
he's a 5-time All-Star.
Nope. Oh, for fuck's sake, with the All-Stars.
Like,
We have this conversation every week.
Here's what I'll tell you. If I had to bet today whether Kawhi Leonard is in the Hall of Fame at the end of his career or not, I would say yes. Okay.
Thank you.
But there's an unknown here, and that's how much longer is he going to play. That assumption's being made with the fact that maybe he does win another title. Maybe he does get some more accolades. Maybe he continues to play good. But maybe he gets hurt. Maybe he just is like having year-long rehabs for no reason with nobody knowing what's going on. Maybe he has another thing where he like refuses to play for the Clippers and wants to get traded somewhere else. Like, we don't know what's going to happen here. And so you don't know what the rest of his career is going to entail. There are so many things that could keep him from making it there.
Yeah, he's only 31 too. So
He could come to the Cavs.
He could abruptly retire. I bet more on him abruptly retiring than him playing to 40.
Yeah.
What about him coming to the Cavs?
Again, abruptly retiring than coming to the Cavs.
Right.
Okay? I'm
You
betting
sure?
on him to retire.
I think he likes this team's potential.
I don't know where this is going.
yeah. So anyway, getting back to it, Russell Westbrook is also remaining with the LA Lakers.
Of course he is.
It's a bad decision.
Well, this is happening for 2 reasons. One, $47 million.
Yeah.
Okay. 2, the Lakers didn't get Kyrie yet. So they need somebody.
Yeah.
They need somebody good. I think the fit's terrible. I think the Lakers are going to be meh again.
Yeah.
But
Me too.
Me too.
I think if they could find a way to move Russell Westbrook, it'd be the best interest of everyone. Have him go put up stupid numbers playing for the Hornets or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Or the Pacers or somebody like super shitty.
Or the Kings. The Kings.
Yeah, go play for the Kings. Go
Right.
play for the Kings and go have the time of your life. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Of
You know-
winning like 30 games too.
Yeah. Win 30 games. Go win another MVP. Okay.
He
Average.
thing where he averages a triple-double for another season. Like,
No,
he
he's-
doesn't give a shit about rings.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care about going to the playoffs,
No.
much less than rings.
No.
I mean, I would argue he does. That's why he's playing so hard to get triple doubles to get his team in position to win games. But that's a different story. But
I thought
if he didn't care, he wouldn't be giving assists. He'd be just chucking up every single shot as he can.
is he-
rating Andrew Bynum's Cavs practice. Okay.
is he assist hunting though?
What do
He
you
did
mean,
average. He still averaged over 7 assists
assist
last.
hunting? What are you talking about?
Like he only
Assist hunting.
passes the people that he feels confident with.
Oh, the
He was
ones
so
that
very
make
selective.
lateral. How terrible!
Yeah,
I'm gonna
right.
pass the guy that's gonna make his shot.
Right. I think that as a point guard, that's part of
That's
your
his
job.
job.
But yeah,
That is part of your job.
you decide where to make the play happen. You decide whose hands the ball is going to. Like, yeah, if he thinks that player X is better than player Y, then yeah, pass player X the ball in an important
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
It's not like LaMelo Ball scoring 100 points in a high school game, cherry picking and not playing defense. Okay,
Right.
he's actually making plays in an attempt to win games,
Yeah.
not leaving his teammates left to play 4-on-5 while he waits for a layup.
Yeah, he still averaged over 7 assists a game last year. So even though his offensive production was down, like he's still passing the ball. He's still trying to win games. I'm not saying he doesn't care about winning at all, but I think that his motivations are not the same as a lot of people. I think he does care about personal statistics. And
That's what I'm
personal
saying.
grades.
That's what I'm
Was-
saying with the
Right.
assists.
That's fair. I mean, if you think that that's more important to him than the other, then yeah, I mean, that's
That's all I'm saying.
right. But he's still
Assist hunting.
He still produces, he's still, it's not like he's not out there playing hard.
Yeah.
Right. So, Churk, if I'm hearing you correctly, you think Russell Westbrook is a little bit of a selfish player?
A little bit, yeah. I think he assist hunts for the statistics. I don't think
Assist hunt and selfish don't go hand in hand.
No,
Assist
what
literally
is happening
means that
here?
you're giving the ball to somebody else.
but it's forced his own statistics though, not to win games.
So they score points as a team.
Right. That's
Getting
a
an
net positive.
assist is the complete opposite of being selfish.
Right. Selfish would be if you went out there and you averaged 38 points and half of an assist per game.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like that's selfish.
That's
Like Colin Sexton.
I mean, Colin Sexton is
That was more
averages
of a
more.
by
But that's-
necessity. It was just he played on a shit team, and somebody had 4 points.
like, I don't know. Do you remember Brandon Jennings? Like Brandon Jennings, okay, he had like no assists per game ever. He shot the ball a ton. He was inefficient, and he was just an awful player. Okay,
Yeah, that's what selfish looks like.
that is what selfish is.
Why'd the
Brandon
Bucks
Jennings.
like him so much?
Because they had nobody else.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why. That was their option. It was Brandon Jennings or
They had
Andrew Bogut.
Yes, they had Andrew Bogut during that.
But
time.
he was hurt the entire time.
With-
So it's the Brandon Jennings and Yi Jinlin show. Okay, nobody wants to watch that. Okay,
Did they still have Michael Red?
this,
I think they
might
did.
this might have been post Michael Red. This was
But he
post-
was injured a lot. He was injured a lot.
But like, that's a selfish player. Like you're trying to convince us, okay, that he's a selfish teammate with 7 assists per game.
Nah, it's silly.
He's a bad teammate because he passes his teammates the ball.
No, but he's looking for the statistic, not for his teammate. Like he's thinking about that
It
number.
doesn't work like that with assists, Churk.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
active and assist.
You want to say with rebounds? Maybe I'm with you. Maybe I'm with you on the rebound thing.
Yeah.
Point,
Okay.
assist,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
No.
But there's a difference between Ricky Davis throwing himself the 10th rebound of the game off of his own basket and doing what Russell Westbrook does, which is actually be a productive player and help his team win. That's where we're saying that there's a difference. Like he's still a productive player. He's still trying to win games when he's on the court. He's still useful.
That was so
Just that
funny.
He's not, he's not the dominant player that he was on a team when, they needed him to control the ball a lot more.
Yeah, that was so funny when Ricky did that, though.
It
You
was
remember
funny, but that's
That
the
was
kind
a
of
It was
fun era
funny.
of Cavs basketball. There's a reason that team ended up with the number 1 overall pick. Okay, it's
was
not
stuff
because
like
they
that.
were good.
It was in a losing effort too, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure we lost the game too.
I think we did. But
Yeah,
Bryan,
so that's a selfish player.
Brian, going
Yes.
back to what you said about the Clippers, and I think we all kind of said this, if they can stay healthy, it's the same situation for the Lakers too. Like we don't know if Anthony Davis can stay healthy.
Right.
LeBron recently has had some injury concerns where you're like, okay, is he going to be there the whole season? Not obviously, I'm not indicating that the Lakers are going to trade him. I just
Injury concerns. Here's what this is. He's making a career decision based off of body maintenance. He's not really hurt. He's hurting, but he's looking at the Lakers. He sees that they're going nowhere. There's no future. Why go and risk a serious further injury when I can wait a few games, rehab, then be fine?
Right.
That's what he's doing. If Anthony Davis gets hurt and he's out for a long time again, you're going to see lots of load management situations with LeBron. That's just the way it is. He's older. He has back issues. Okay, that's not a secret. Like I share the same issues LeBron does with back injuries. Okay, if there's a couple days in a row I don't go with exercising, my back will hurt. LeBron has the same issue.
Yeah.
right. But didn't he? I know he legitimately got hurt against the Hawks last year. I think it was a major ankle injury, right?
I mean, yeah, he has gotten hurt, actual injuries from time to time, sure, but like you see him taking more games off because of injuries at this point in his career when the Lakers are not competitive.
Right,
I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at, is that when it's not competitive, when the team's not there, you're seeing him just being like, well, fuck it, I'm going to just start drinking wine on the sidelines.
Right.
So, but you mean like what people accuse him of doing from in the 2010 playoffs when he like quit on the Cavs or whatever? Is that kind of what you're getting at? Or am I missing?
No, because he actually played in those games. I'm talking about just not playing for business decisions, which is the right move when you're playing for a team that sucks and you're 37 years old or whatever he is now.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I see what you're saying, because I know people accused him in 2010 of like, oh, he quit on the Cavs and because he knew he was already.
He was still playing those games. I'm just talking about him just like not playing anything close to a full season.
He did play, but I don't think he put a full effort into those.
That's
games.
okay. I see what you're saying now, James.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Right.
I don't think he put on a full effort those games. Josh is right about that.
Okay.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that he
didn't care.
I will say when the game was at the pivot point of games where it was going to turn into a loss, he was more prone to not trying as hard, I will say. But up to that point, he was trying. When the game became insurmountable, he said, fuck this, essentially. Okay? And you know what? As time's gone on, I'm just like, okay, I get it. Mm-hmm. Like, when you're at a certain point and there's no way you're going to win, fuck it.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan didn't say that, did he?
Yeah, but he never reached that point. You know, he never had to come to that.
Kareem never said that. Who is better than Jordan?
Okay.
No, we're not getting into this whole GOAT discussion. I already screwed it up last week.
Did I give you an aneurysm, Brian?
Close.
I already screwed it up last week. We're not getting into this again.
No Kareem? Number one?
I got no problem with Kareem, but we're not doing this today.
No. Anyway, moving on. The Knicks and Pistons made a trade. Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks are going to the Pistons, in addition to 2 second-rounders and cash.
Well, Pistons are building a team.
They are.
The Pistons are.
Yeah. I know we'll get to the draft later because you guys had strong reactions to the Ojai Abaji pick, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But as a Cavs fan, I gotta say I'm a little bit nervous about the rest of our division. Besides for the Pacers, like I think Zach LaVine is going to re-sign with the Chicago Bulls, and they're going to be a pain in the ass. We know the Bucks are going to be back because Chris Middleton's going to be fully healthy. They still have Giannis. Drew Holiday is a very good player, and they just won the championship in 2021. So I don't know we're a shoe in to make the playoffs like maybe a lot of people think we are after what we did last season.
I don't think they're a shoe-in playoff team at all, to be honest. It has literally nothing to do with this Pistons trade, okay? Nerlens Noel is nothing, okay? Alec Burks...
He's a good rotation player.
He's a nice guy off the bench is what Alec Burks is. Okay?
He's a good six man.
No, nice guy off the bench, not a six man.
Yeah, I wouldn't go six man. That's a little
he's a guy who'll average like maybe 12, 13 points a game.
Yeah, James.
I will agree with probably on the lower end of that spectrum, maybe closer to 10. But yes, I think he can be in that range for a team if the team is, I guess, good enough or has enough good players around him. Okay, I think Detroit is trending in that direction. I still think they have a long way to go.
Yeah, James, I'm not basing like my analysis of what I was just saying off of specifically this trade. I'm just talking about like what Detroit is building in general with drafting Ivy 5th overall, Cade Cunningham. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, they're putting together pieces, but this was about depth. It's just about adding depth. But yeah, they've got a long way to go. I don't necessarily think that like the Pistons should expect to be the Cavaliers of last season or anything like that. And, and you're absolutely right about the Cavs. Like we're not guaranteed anything. We still got question marks of our own that we have to figure out. So
it was a good draft pick.
We'll get to that.
We're not there yet, Churk. We got to mention why the Knicks offloaded all of these assets. That's because they're pursuing Jalen Brunson. They want to give him a large contract.
Oh my God, no!
And they had to clear cap space to get Jalen Brunson, which is what they're trying to do.
No, that's an awful idea.
It's the Knicks. So yeah, the Knicks.
It might scream of desperation, but it's the Knicks.
It's a Nolan move. It's definitely a Dolan move.
I mean, it's a Knicks move, is what it is. Take the Dolan aspect out of it. It's just the Knicks. I mean, come on. Look at all the giant mistakes the Knicks have made over the years. Okay, you can just
Dolan.
It's not just him. It's just the Knicks being the Knicks. Whoever's in charge.
Yeah.
Look at the Phil Jackson era of the Knicks.
Yeah.
That was a complete disaster.
Yeah, that was bad.
Then you look at I think the only good thing that's come out of the last couple of years for the Knicks is that they didn't re-sign or sign Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving because that would have blown up in their faces.
Yeah, we
Okay.
saw how it ended up with Brooklyn. So.
And that first year where Kevin Durant didn't play a game, don't you think people would have been harping on the Knicks every single day because Kevin Durant's not playing?
It would have been
Is this contract a disaster because Kevin Durant's not playing right now? Imagine the Mike Francesa clips in New York on a daily basis, okay, of just complete nonsense. Imagine all the talking head douchebags on ESPN and FS1. That would be all they're talking about.
Yeah,
okay?
Every single day it would lead the show off.
It'd be the same thing, and it would be just take the Nets talk about what happened with Kyrie and KD, switch it to the Knicks, and amplify it by 100. Okay,
Right.
because that's what it means. Because it's the Knicks, because the Knicks matter.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like we talked about this earlier. I would bet you that even if the Nets were to somehow win the championship, that would not be on the front page. On the front page would be something about the Yankees or something about the Knicks.
No, it'd be front page, but don't worry. In the subheadline, it would mention New York's first title since the Knicks won in whatever year it was. They would still find a way to cram the Knicks in there. Okay,
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But Jalen Brunson, I don't get why they're so. I get it. He had a fantastic season with Dallas, which I don't get why the Mavericks aren't re-signing him because I liked that backcourt pairing of him and Luka Doncic. But if the Knicks think like, oh, us signing Jalen Brunson is going to put asses in the seats.
It's going to get the Larry O'Brien trophy.
If the Knicks think that, they're crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you think New Yorkers are going to go out and buy Jalen Brunson jerseys by the thousands?
Right.
Even by the hundreds? No.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his numbers last year. He's 25 years old last season, 16.3 points a game, 4.8 assists. Where's his rebounds? And 4 rebounds, 3.9 rebounds. So, yeah, nothing that absolutely blows you away by any means. So, yeah, this is a move to me that just screams of desperation. It's just that they're flailing to try to do anything they can to make their team better. And this just doesn't, to me, move the needle at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, when they made the playoffs in 2021, I'm like, okay, this isn't real. Like, when they got eliminated by the Hawks, I'm like, yep, that totally makes sense.
I mean, it did. I mean, the one thing I will say in favor of Brunson to the Knicks is that Brunson just came off his age 25 season, so he still is young enough to convince yourself that this deal could work, that this might be something that, would be a way to drastically improve the Knicks, but you never know. I mean, there's age is on their side, but you don't know really what you're going to get out of this.
Yeah, there's way too many unknowns with this.
All right, Churk, you've been waiting for it. Tell us why you love the Cavs draft pick, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Well, I'm not even going to say anything because you know why I love this pick.
Because I think he can be a great shooting guard to go with Darius Garland. I mean, him, Okoro, or him, Levert, Okoro. It's going to be great, man. And we got a backup center, too.
Yeah, when we drafted that center, I did not understand that at all. That pick made no sense to me.
Well, he's not going to be playing. They're just holding his rights is what that pick is. That's about right. He's not playing.
You sure?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Who will get more minutes, him or Taco?
Taco, because the other guy's not going to be here.
He'll
if
be
Taco
here.
plays a single minute, he'll get more minutes than the guy they drafted with their second pick in the draft. Okay.
Churk, I find it fast. Like, it is so on par with you. Any way you can, you bring Taco Fall into the conversation. Any way you can. That is why in the Facebook Messenger chat, we call you Taco's biggest fan. That is why.
He was great, wasn't he?
Anyway, getting back to Ojai Abaji. I really like this pick because there were too many times down the stretch where it felt like everything fell on Darius Garland. Like, Darius, go out, score 20-plus points for us tonight. Go out and get 10-plus assists. Go out and do this, do that, do that. It felt like it got to a point where it was just way too much for him. So I feel like by drafting Ojai Abaji, yes, he's a 4-year senior, so he's a little bit older. I get that. But
he's only 3 years younger than Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
He's already going into his 5th season.
Yeah.
That's a fair argument, Brian. I'll give you that one. What I do like about Abaji, though, is he doesn't need Darius Garland to set him up. Like, I watched him throughout March Madness. He was good at getting his own shot, so that takes some of the pressure off of Darius Garland. So, again, he doesn't feel like he has to do everything. He doesn't feel like he has to score 20 to 30-plus points a game, whatever. He doesn't feel like he has to set everybody up. I get it. He's the point guard, so that's part of his job. But sometimes it just felt like it was too much, if that makes sense.
Okay, so time to burst your bubble. Okay. You mentioned one of the big concerns right off the bat, and that he played 4 years in college. Okay. NBA starters, NBA contributors, NBA players who actually matter don't spend 4 years in college anymore. It doesn't happen. Okay. Some of the biggest people that I saw, because admittedly I did not pay attention to Kansas basketball, so I had to go to the people that I look at and the people that follow them, the people that do that, and they're like, loved him in college, but this guy's going to be nothing more than a role player in the NBA. So you're telling me they drafted a role player at 14? Okay. Then if for what you mentioned about getting his own shot, the Cavs don't need that. They don't need guys to get their own shot. Okay.
What? Are you kidding me?
They don't. And here's why. They have Darius Garland. Okay. Their backup, who they're looking to bring back, Ricky Rubio, another guy who needs the ball with in his hands to do something. Karis LeVert needs the ball in his hands to do something. I'm assuming Rubio's back, but for right now, Colin Sexton was sent a qualifying offer by the team. He's another guy who's a ball-dominant player. Yeah. You can't have a team full of ball-dominant players and expect it to work. It's a disaster, okay? Hopefully they get rid of Colin Sexton, but bring in a ball-dominant player to play with LeVert, Rubio, and Garland. What are they doing? They need guys that catch and shoot, okay? They don't need guys to create their own shot. Their shot is created by the play that gets them open. They don't need anyone to try and dribble and get open. Stand in the corner. Garland will give you the ball after he drives. Okay, and you're going to hit the
Chetty.
corner.
That's what Chetty's for.
You know who was really good at that this year was the guy right there from Ohio State down the road, Malachi Branham.
Malachi Branham. He would have been fantastic right there because you know what? They need guys to catch and shoot threes.
Yeah, he shot 62% in the month of March. A lot of catch and shoot. And he's also 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan, and he just turned 19 a month ago. So tremendous upside. He was on the board. It made sense from a fit standpoint more to me. I think that was a position that we needed more depth at. So that's why personally I would have liked going with Branham. I'm not like crazy against Agbaji or anything. I think he's a good player, and he did play very well down the stretch for Kansas. Like he was probably the most valuable player of the Final Four.
I believe he
was
get that achievement. Yes.
Right. So, he's a guy that proved he can be a winner and play on the big stage, which is good. And that's probably a lot of the reason why he's getting overhyped. But the fact of the matter is the previous 3 years, when it came time to be evaluated and determine whether or not he was a professional basketball player, they've continued to say no until this year. And now all of a sudden that they win the championship and he's the most valuable player, now all of a sudden they're evaluating him as this guy that's totally different than the same guy that they were evaluating differently a year ago, if that makes sense.
What about Khalifa Diop?
Khalifa Diop, he's not going to play. I told you this already.
Yeah.
That's a draft and stash move. They just wanted his rights. He's not playing a single minute for this team.
Yeah.
He's good.
He's not going to play for this team, so the less said about him, the better.
And what about Luke Travers?
Who cares?
But
Okay.
Josh, I'm not like crazy against the pick or think that Branham's a bad player or anything like that. So I don't want to give the wrong impression. I really thought that Branham was the right fit there, and that's why I was like kind of head scratching at this one.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
If we had selected Malachi Branham, I would not have been against that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I think the fit would have been absolutely fantastic because it would have given us a way to be like, okay, Lowry marketing, thanks, but goodbye. So
if it would have been Ohio State and not Kansas that won the championship, he would have been the pick.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot of overvaluation because of the success they had in the tournament.
I totally see what you're saying. I
hate this. I just hate it. I hate it. I think it's terrible. I think it's awful. And you drafted a role player.
Yeah. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm like, it just, I think there are better options out there. So
I don't think he's going to be bad for us.
I still think it's like a D.
Don't draft a bench player at 14, Churk.
Right. That's my problem with it.
You said he's a role player, so he could average like 12 points for us.
You don't draft a bench
guys who average 12 or 13 points. Like, who has ever made an impact in this league that averaged 12 points a game?
You don't draft. When you have a lottery pick, Churk, your intent is to draft someone who's going to be a starter. Okay.
Yeah. Here's my problem is I don't think we're going to get a pick this high again soon. You know what I mean? Like this is the chance where you got to take a young guy with promise, because next year, if we continue to have success like we had last season, we're going to be picking even higher.
We could trade him in Sexton.
You want to take an older guy with a lottery pick when you could have went with a younger guy this year. Next year, take a role player. You know what I mean? Like, there's no options out there.
Yeah, your argument is totally valid, and I don't even disagree with you fully on it. Maybe I'll say this. Maybe I did get a little caught up in what he did during the tournament. Although I watched a little bit of Kansas during the regular season, and I liked what he did throughout this season. But again, if we had drafted AJ Griffin, or I think that's when 16th overall, and I remember correctly. Anyway, or if we had drafted a small forward, let me just say it like that, I would have been all right with that as well.
What about Mark Williams?
Was he the center?
Yeah.
No, we don't need a center. We have Jared Allen. We have Kevin Love coming off the bench. We have Evan Mobley. We don't need another center.
And we got Diop too. Yeah.
Dude, he's not playing. We've been over this.
How do you know he's not playing?
Churk, he is not playing. How many times do we have to tell you this?
The purpose of this pick was to acquire his draft rights so they can trade him in 4 years, like the Cavs did to get another pick in this draft. Okay.
You don't think he's good?
He's not playing. He's not playing for them this year. So, this is about rights. This is about future trades. It's not about him doing anything.
He's the new Taco.
No,
look how that worked out, buddy. But he went to the G League and gets traded. Like, you want another one of those?
I mean, we could have used Taco. That was the problem.
No, we couldn't have.
Absolutely not. We've overperformed expectations by a long shot, and it had nothing to do with Taco Fall. He had no place on that team.
Got to check this out. This guy that we drafted, G-Up, has averaged 5.7 points per game.
In 5.7 points per game. In what league?
In the Euro Cup League.
Yeah, exactly. Even worse.
Okay.
By the way, I looked it up. It was AJ Griffin who was drafted 16th overall from Duke. So I was right about that. I just wanted to double check that.
You're being so judgmental, Brian.
They didn't draft him with the intention of him making the roster or him playing. It's just so they say we have the draft rights to him. Okay.
Yeah, here's from Chris Fedor right here. I'm reading an article right after the draft. With Cleveland having 4 picks going into the night and 11 players on guaranteed contracts, a draft and stash selection was always likely, and that's what this was. So there you go.
Well,
it's not just us saying it. It's not just us saying it. This has been the narrative on him since the pick.
On G-Up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just read it to you.
It's Job. You got to stop it, man. It's Job. Like the guy that used to play in Cleveland. The Job.
Yeah, Sagana Job.
Same name.
And he was good too.
He was useless.
Oh,
okay.
Good
Job was useless.
Yeah.
He was completely useless. Why are you so obsessed? Okay, let's move on before Churk gets.
Next, we're going to hear Churk preaching the merits of Chris Mim. Okay.
Or how about Vitally Potato?
Oh, okay. You just called him Vitally Potato. His name is Vitaly Potapinko, my friend. You just called him Vitally Potato.
That's what it looks like to me.
You're cutting out half his name.
Vitaly Potato.
It's not even hour 2 and we're already like this. Welcome to So What's the Catch, ladies and gentlemen, where sometimes shit just hits the fan.
Vitally. Yeah.
Vitally Potato.
Hey, Churk, quick question. How do you pronounce the name of the country that looks like a boot in the Mediterranean Sea?
Which one?
Oh, no.
Only one.
What do you mean which one? There's only one.
Italy.
How do you say Italy?
Italy.
Oh, so it's Italy, but
It's not Italy?
It's not Italy?
Italy?
I said vitally.
Yeah.
Italy.
Sure it's not
Italy.
It's not Italy?
Whoops. I thought it was pronounced vitally.
What the hell is happening right now?
Italy.
I mean, he could be Vitally Potato, though.
AC Milan from Italy.
Vitally Potato. Vitally Potato.
Vitally Potato. There we go.
Is a bad translation when you have the five guys over in a different country. Okay.
All right.
Trying to
Vitally
say
Potato.
is vital to our business operations, but it comes out as Vitally Potato. Okay.
Vitally Potato. That's.
Oh, good God.
He wasn't bad, was he?
So Colin Sexton received a qualifying offer.
Thank you for getting us back on track, Bryan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
let's go there.
Yes, Colin Sexton received a qualifying offer, making him a restricted free agent.
So that means he gets to choose.
James, you put this on the rundown.
Mm-hmm.
Pacers are currently the favorites at plus 200. Pistons are at plus 300. And the Wizards are at plus 350.
What are the Cavs?
The Cavs don't re-sign him. So if
I
he doesn't
understand
return to
that.
Cleveland, that's the odds of which teams would be willing to pay him. And there's one common theme with all three of these teams. They suck. Okay.
All
And
the
so
Cleveland
that's what we
teams?
need to look here. Is you look at these teams, they're bad teams. Okay. And they're just looking for somebody to do something.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what else. Besides the three of them just being bad teams, they're also confusing teams. Like, I have no idea what the Washington Wizards are going to do. Like, are they going to resign Bradley Beal to a max contract and try and actually build around him? What the hell are the Pacers doing? And, yeah, the Pistons have me a little bit concerned, but it's only a paper thing right now. We need to see it on the court.
I mean,
yeah, I think the Pistons are on the right track, but I agree with you completely. Like the Pacers and Wizards are just not good teams right now. So,
and the Wizards for me are the most frustrating of that team because Bradley Beal's not a superstar player, but is it fair to say he's a star player? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Actually, don't you say it. Don't you fucking say it.
I'm surely
he's got a lot more to prove. You're right.
I'd say he's a tad under star in my opinion.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, God damn it. I think he's a really good player. I don't think he's quite a star player yet, honestly. I think he's really, really good.
Another guy from Kansas, right? Bradley Beal.
You don't think he's no, he's not from Cleveland. He's from St.
Like
Louis.
Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that we were
went
just
to University of Kansas?
Yeah, he played with Kansas.
I didn't think so. Anyway.
Yeah, 6'4" shooting guard for Kansas, Bradley Beal.
But the Wizards,
third overall pick.
The Wizards
he should have been picked second.
Anyway, the Wizards are frustrating for me because it's like, okay, are you going to commit to Bradley Beal and actually try and build a good team around him, or are you going to completely blow it up? Like, they're in this weird like middle ground where it's like, no, we're not gonna completely blow it up, but no, we're not gonna build around Bradley Beal either. It's like, pick a damn side and stick to it. Simple as that.
This is just a sign of a bad organization.
It's the Wizards, so yeah.
Bradley Beal and Colin Sexton have really similar numbers.
Yeah.
If I'm the Wizards, I trade Bradley Beal, get the stupid load of picks that some stupid team's going to offer you, probably Oklahoma City because they have too many for roster spots. Okay, they're going to be terrible. All the picks that they got from other teams are going to be terrible. Take all of those picks, which are going to be high, unload Bradley Beal, keep your own pick, sign Colin Sexton, finish in the bottom third of the Eastern Conference, and get a top 10 lottery pick, and use all those other picks and build a young team. Then when Colin Sexton's contract is up, kick him to the curb.
You think that's the best idea to do?
I mean, they're not a free agent destination. They're not going to get anyone. Their best chance was Kevin Durant, and he said no. Okay,
Yeah.
So you're not going to get anybody. You're
Andrew Wiggins.
Okay, and that's not going to do anything.
Right.
Okay, you're
He's
not going to get any
ball-dominant.
marquee players to come to the Wizards. You're going to have to draft them.
That's
Just like
what
you
I'm
always have.
saying.
Yeah.
Like, just a hypothetical. What if Bradley Beal was traded to Charlotte to pair with Lonzo Ball?
That'd be good.
That'd be quite the body swap that they pulled off, because that's LaMelo in Charlotte.
Now-
But I got your point.
I
But those two together, I think they'd be very productive players. I think it'd be a better version of what we saw between Beal and Wall in Washington, because I think
Yeah.
LaMelo is a more dynamic player than what John
What-
Wall ever was.
What if he came to the Cavs?
he's okay. First off, he's not coming to the Cavs at this point.
But
You
I
sure?
would love that, because he would be their starting shooting guard. They would get rid of some players that they don't need, and then they would clear up some roster space, clear up some minutes for actually good players, and stop playing garbage guys 5-6 minutes a game. Okay?
Like Chetty Osman?
I'd give him Sexton for Beal, straight up.
Could we?
Yeah.
Hey, if Washington wants to do that, hey, Larry Markkinen, thanks for your time. But
Yeah, Sexton,
I'll get-
Martin,
And the draft pick. The draft pick.
the clown they just drafted, trade them all for Bradley Beal.
I'll even throw in Kevin Love in there.
No, keep Kevin Love.
yeah,
It's funny to me though that the Wizards are thinking about adding Colin Sexton with Brad. If they do plan on having Bradley Beal be there, like they both are, like take a shitload of shots. Bradley Beal, 17.6 field goal attempts per game in his career, 17.6 field goal attempts per game. Colin Sexton, 16.3.
Wow.
He takes even more shots than Colin Sexton, but he's better. So,
yeah.
in my opinion, I think Beal's a way better player than
Yeah.
Sexton.
Oh, he is.
But they're similar players.
Yeah, my mistake. I did mean LaMelo Ball. I did not mean Lonzo.
We knew it's
I knew. I just had to give you a hard time.
ballers in the NBA at this point.
But it does bring up a interesting question, because you got Bradley Beal, James Harden, and Zach LaVine all eligible for max contracts. So out of those three, if you guys were a general manager, who would you give a max contract to?
I
Out of
wouldn't.
those three,
Yes.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. Yeah, I don't think any of those three players are worthy of a max.
I think of the three, the only one who would be considered worthy would be James Harden, but he's too unpredictable. So
Yeah.
that takes him out of the running for that.
He
I
used to be
don't
a
trust-
slam dunk.
I don't trust Zach LaVine, and I don't trust Bradley Beal to be guys worth max contracts. So
I
are
think
you
Zach LaVine
laying down now? What is happening?
Whoops.
What the hell are you doing?
What just happened?
I have no idea.
Hey,
For
hour
those,
forgot to
hour
turn
two,
it on.
getting ready to begin.
for those of you listening on Spotify and Anchor, Churk is just being Churk. He's
I forgot to turn the camera off. That was my bad.
anyway. So
What just happened?
I have no idea. What were we talking about?
Bradley Beal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Double B's.
Right. Between right. We were answering the question if you had to give a max contract to either Harden, Levine or Beal, who would you give a max contract to? Are you James and Bryan? You're both saying Harden?
I
said
would.
no.
Once
I said
upon a
nobody.
time. Yeah, not anymore. I think Harden has dropped off a cliff. Like his production is just not what it used to be. So I think once upon a time he was absolutely a slam dunk max contract player, but not anymore.
And he's a Hall of Famer too.
I don't think either of the other two have ever been a max player. I think that Harden was. So that's why I give the edge over Harden.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like I'm not giving it to him now, but at least he deserved it once upon a time. I don't think I've ever seen Zach LaVine or Bradley Beal be valuable enough to their team to justify a max.
Yeah. If I absolutely if somebody said you have to choose a player, you can't say nobody, I would going off only last season, I would say Zach LaVine, just basing it off of last season. But I see what you're saying. Overall, I don't see Zach LaVine as a max player. But looking at what he did with the Bulls and how the Bulls were able to make the playoffs, granted they got dismantled by the Milwaukee Bucks, I get it. But still, given what he did last season and how the Bulls took a step forward, he would be the player I would at least consider to give a max contract to. But I do see what you're saying about his overall body of work.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. For what it's worth, James Harden, 7.6 win share last season, as opposed to Bradley Beal, or who are we just comparing him to? Was it Beal?
Zach.
Oh, Levine. Okay, where is his win share is 5.8. So 5.8 win share for him, 7.6 for Harden. So marginally better for Harden last season.
So not that big of a gap.
Not a huge gap, but still, it's a significant number bigger. To be more than one win share above, I would consider significant. So
fair enough, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, and that win share stat, it's not as effective of a basketball stat as like WAR is in baseball, in my opinion. It's kind of funky win shares, but
yeah,
it's still something worth looking at, in my opinion.
And here's the thing with Harden, though. You have to consider that halfway through the season, or I think it was halfway through the season approximately, he was traded from Brooklyn to Philadelphia. So
I'm on Basketball Reference. I'm sorry, I have to do this. I'm looking at nicknames listed for James Harden. Obviously, the beard. Everybody knows that. Did you know he's also known as El Chapo, Jimbo Slice, and Honey Bun? El Chapo, one of the worst humans on planet Earth. He chose that as one of the nicknames. Jimbo Slice, obviously an homage to Kimbo Slice, R.I.P. And then Honey Bun.
As someone who's also been referred to as Jimbo Slice in his lifetime, I can appreciate that.
That one's okay, yeah. That's kind of a natural nickname to get.
Yeah.
But the other ones, like
El Chapo, that's rough.
Yeah, that is really rough.
Right.
And then to finish off the NBA section, James, you have on here 7th best odds to sign Malik Monk at plus 400.
Yeah.
Who has the 7th best odds?
Well, this is talking about the Cavs, so the Cavs.
Guys.
This was the Cavs section.
Okay.
Cavs, and the section ends, so this
okay.
is all Cavs. So 7th best odds for the Cavs.
Plus 400, meaning if you put a $100 bet on the Cavs to do it, you win 4 if they sign them. So 4-1 odds.
So, looking at him, he's a guy who hasn't really started except for out of necessity in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the Cavs need? They need a guard who's a shooting guard who doesn't need to be a starter. So I'm looking at this.
Good fit, right?
Yeah, I'm with it.
And he's still so young. Like Malik Monk's only 23 years old. Like he's still young. He's still growing. So when you're bringing in a guy like that to have his ceiling, to not already have reached the ceiling makes it an exciting option. So I like this.
And who's to say if they put him in the starting lineup, it wouldn't be successful? I mean,
right.
because he doesn't have to be the guy on the Cavs, because the guys on the Cavs starting lineup it's Mobley, it's Allen, it's Garland,
Right.
and then you're starting shooting guard.
So let's say you do put Malik Monk at the starting shooting guard. Who do you put in at small forward?
Who cares, really? They'll probably put Markkanen probably be Markkanen since he's still under contract.
Yeah, that's a position that needs addressed.
Maybe they drafted Ojai Abaji with the intention of putting him at starting small forward.
No, they're not going from extremely long team to extremely team without length. So they're going to keep going with the length thing. Okay, so that's what they're going to keep doing. That's why they're going to keep trotting out the Tower City lineup as long as Markkanen's under contract.
Right.
Ugh. Oy vey.
Let's see. How tall is Malik Monk?
He's 6'3".
6'3".
But listen, I am all in on a guy with the nickname God of Dunk. Okay,
God of Dunk is a great nickname. I'm all in on that as well. But James, you made a really interesting point. Like, the reason Malik Monk isn't a starter isn't because he's not starter caliber player. He just hasn't had the right opportunity yet. So that's what makes this an interesting one to me, because you're not totally sure. He could be a lot better than what he has been in LA if he's given the right role with the right team. So this is one that would be an exciting move for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would like this move.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would wonder is, let's say we do sign him, that would mean we have Okoro, Abaji, LeVert, who you could categorize as a guard, Garland, Rubio. That's a lot of guards.
Yeah.
You need guards.
Yeah.
You need guards. Okay. If there's anything we learned from last season for the Cavs, is that you need guards, and a lot of them. Okay. Like, how many games did we see played by Brandon Goodwin last year? Okay.
He wasn't bad.
But he's not a starter. He's a guy that plays 3 minutes a game, is what he is. You hope he hits a couple threes going into the end of the first half. He plays garbage time when you're up or down by 10 with 30 seconds to go. He's not someone that you're giving meaningful minutes to. Okay.
Right.
That's the Cavs played a lot of guys who got meaningful minutes who had no business getting meaningful minutes.
Right.
You mean,
and we know what we got in terms of bigs. We got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Like, we know what we got there with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, guards, you can never have too many guards. And when you look at last season, like you said, when you have to bring up players from the G League to start at point guard because you have no depth, like, it's good to have flexibility at the guard position and to have a deep room there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, let's not forget this team at one point started Kevin Pangos. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not gonna be mad if they add another guard to the mix.
So
even if it ends up with them removing another guard or two guards from the mix because you don't have enough playing time for all of them.
Can we get rid of
Burrow is a defensive specialist? Like, he's not an offensive contributor in this lineup. Like, at least a guy like Monk at shooting guard, like you're gonna get both ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. For me, Okoro is nothing but a defender. He's a bench player that is good to bring in and have some fresh legs for defense. But that's about it for me.
You said it yourself, James. It's like Tayshaun Prince for the Cavs.
That's what he is. He's Tayshaun Prince.
Yeah.
According to Churk, Tayshaun Prince is the first ballot Hall of Famer, though. So
yes.
He's not a Hall of Famer. I never said that.
Of all the people that you brought up today and commented on Hall of Fame status, you said Tayshaun Prince is not a Hall of Famer definitively.
You're going to give me a hard time for Tayshaun when you put – who do you put on the Hall of Fame earlier? Zach LaVine?
No, I said Paul George.
Oh, yeah. Somebody else, too.
I put in I said Kawhi Leonard.
Let's not regress back to that.
No, let's not go back there.
Let's move forward. Let's go to the brawl, the big baseball brawl.
Yeah. Actually, before that, a couple quick things. Freddie Freeman returned to Atlanta over the weekend. So, did you guys watch any of that series or not?
Bits and pieces. I saw his interview. I watched the interview, his first one in Atlanta. I flipped over to it to see his first at bat, but I didn't watch any of the games of that series like from start to finish. No.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the 2 games that were on national TV, the second and third games, and it was pretty interesting to watch. You could tell it felt like Freddie Freeman was like, yeah, I never should have left this ball. I never should have left this organization. I never should have left this ballpark.
Why do you think he fired his agent?
Right. He
immediately after this series. That's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up, but you did. So did you guys have any strong reaction to Freddie Freeman firing his agent?
It's him being pissed off at his agent that he's not in Atlanta anymore. That's all this is.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense to me. You know, obviously, if he had it his way, he would still be in Atlanta. So yeah, like if they didn't make it possible for him to do what he wanted to do, then what's he paying him for? You know, take a chance with somebody else. So that didn't really shock me, but it the only thing that like kind of shocked me about him doing it now is that he did it in the middle of the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily think that like anybody on the Dodgers is like holding that against him or anything like that, but it does, you know what I mean? It's like kind of a distraction a little bit. If you could argue that, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah. Hey,
it's not like he's upset he's in LA. He's in a very, very good situation. You know what I mean? It's not like he ended up in a horrible, horrible place. That's the only reason why I was like, okay, maybe wait until the end of the season or whenever to fire the people, but whatever. It doesn't matter. They were gone eventually either way.
Yeah, the Dodgers are very much a World Series contender. Although, speaking of the Dodgers, they got shut out by the Rockies in Denver for the first time since 2016.
As baseball, baby.
So
that's why they play 162 of them.
If nothing else, I just wanted to give that fun fact out.
For what it's worth, this is like the B team Dodgers lineup. I mean, a lot of the guys are injured or not playing right now. So, like, yeah, that happened, but it's like the Dodgers backup squad.
Yeah.
And then the Astros are in a New York state of mind because they're going Yankee. They just did a weekend series against the Yankees where they threw a combined no-hitter. And then now they're playing the Mets for 2. And then they turn around and play a makeup game in Houston against the Yankees.
Yeah, it's a brutal stretch. Both New York teams very, very strong this year, obviously. So it's not an easy stretch for that Houston team by any means.
Yeah. I feel like I heard this in like the broadcast of the game last night between the Astros and Mets that the Astros are playing both the Yankees and the Mets in this stretch, that the Astros are kind of that measuring stick team for the Yankees and Mets to compare themselves against, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's an interesting opportunity for both teams to look at Houston at the same point in their schedule and kind of compare results. But it doesn't always work like that. You know, just because Team X beats Team Y doesn't necessarily mean that Team Y will beat Team Z. You know what I mean? It's like it does make sense because like boom, boom, they're back to back and it's the same point of both their seasons. But like I don't know how much you can read into it. You know what I mean? Like if the Yankees swept them, which didn't happen, but if the Yankees swept them and then the Mets got swept, I'm not necessarily going to go, oh well, the Mets are done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Baseball's a funny game like that. You know, you can catch people at the wrong time and, you know, things happen. Even the best teams get swept in a series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. I mean, look at the Dodgers. Yeah. Like you said, they're basically on their B team right now, but the Guardians took 2 out of 3 from them.
Right. And look at the Yankees. I mean, you mentioned that they got a combined no-hitter thrown against them by Houston. Like, that doesn't mean that the Yankees aren't a good team. You know what I mean? Like, the Yankees have one of the best teams that we've seen in the past 10 years. Yeah. So baseball is just a game like that where it's on a bad day, anything can happen. You know what I mean? But it did make it more impressive what Houston did, the fact that it came against that Yankee lineup. And So I do give him credit there. But no, I'm not going to necessarily say if Houston goes in and blows out the Mets that the Mets should be panicking or anything like that.
Actually, speaking of the Yankees, they're playing the Oakland Athletics right now. It is 5-3. Yankees lead, bottom of the 6th inning, and there is a runner on second with 2 outs.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. The Yankees are a better team than the Athletics. So
Yeah.
um,
So the Yankees and Astros split that 4-game series. Yankees won the 2 games the Yankees won against Houston were both walk-offs, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, that's how just to show the point, about that's baseball. Like they get thrown a combined no-hitter against them, and then they win in walk-off fashion the next day. You know what I mean? So it's like they answered right back. They came and showed who, that's not who we are. We're
Right.
not. So,
all right. We'll get to the Guardians in a little bit, but I know you guys want to talk about the brawl between the Mariners and the Angels. So let's get to that, and then we can get to the Guardians. So, yeah, there was a huge brawl out in Anaheim between the Mariners and Angels. The Angels were deemed to purposely throw at Julio Rodriguez, which spurred the entire thing, and Jesse Winker had pizza delivered by a fan after being injected.
Wow.
The pizza thing is the best part of the entire story because
that is hilarious.
This is a pizza that was DoorDash, and the destination being Angel Stadium in Anaheim, and telling the guy to give it to Jesse Winker.
yeah.
And he actually got the pizza.
That's fantastic. So,
yeah, but I mean, this made sense. You throw it at the young stud, Julio Rodriguez. He's the future of that organization. And when you look at the Angels, it's like, who the fuck are they? You know what I mean? Like, they're a disaster. So, yeah, I mean, it made sense. You could feel the moment that, like, okay, this is going to blow up. But it blew up in spectacular fashion, ended up being an all-time.
Better than Mouse?
No. Nothing's ever going to compare to that. But it was ugly, though. It was super ugly.
Mouse in the Palace was your favorite?
I wouldn't call it my favorite. It's kind of an infamous thing.
Yeah, it's infamous. Anyway, getting back to Mariners Angels before we get completely thrown off track again.
It was kind of infamous.
So Phil Nevin got 10 games. Jesse Winker got 7. J.P. Crawford, Anthony Rendon, Dom Chidi, I think that's how you say his last name. Correct?
I have no idea.
Okay. They each got 5 games. Andrew Wantz and Ryan Tepera got 3 games. Julio Rodriguez, Rizzo Iglesias, Ray Montgomery, Manny Del Campo got 2 games, and Bill Hasselman got 1 game.
Yeah, a lot of suspensions were handed out after this one.
My favorite part of this entire thing is that you see Anthony Rendon got 5 games. He's out for the season. Okay,
yeah,
he's not even suiting up to play, and he's getting a 5-game suspension.
Yeah, this
is hilarious.
I love that they're going to give him time served too, even though he's injured.
So, did you happen to see any of the clips? Like, because the best clip of this entire thing is Noah Syndergaard running to the pile, then brushing his hair back 3 times before he even touched anybody.
Did you see the other clip where, like, the one Angels player, like, just threw, like, all the sunflower seeds onto the field?
What?
Yeah, essentially just going, fuck this.
There was so much going on in this one. It was an all-time baseball brawl. Like, it was one of those things that, like, it's like an MC Escher painting. Like, you look at it and you just see more and more. Every time you watch it, you see something new.
You find something new every time you watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Mm-hmm.
Someone had a really good view that had those VIP suites, the diamond suites right behind the dugout, or right next to the dugout behind the plate. That view was pretty wild.
Yeah.
How much do you think those seats are?
More than I can afford. I know that.
Yeah. Especially since they're
Me
in
too.
Anaheim. Can you?
Yeah.
Hey, Angels, can you please just change your name to the Anaheim Angels? You are not the Los Angeles Angels. You are the Anaheim Angels.
They're not even in Anaheim, though, are they? They're in
They're in Anaheim.
Anaheim. Okay.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Like,
Fuck all of this. Go back to being California Angels, please.
There you go. Yeah.
California Angels, please.
Classic
Support for the
California Angels look.
Like-
I appreciate that.
think about this. They're called the Anaheim Ducks. They're not called the Anaheim Ducks of Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's just a gimmicky thing.
It's
Also-
stupid.
How are you guys feeling about the USFL right now?
Who cares? It's the
Is
USFL.
it still going? I thought it was over.
The championship is sometime. It's between the Stars and Stallions. I don't know. Anyway, getting back to Major League Baseball, because I don't know where the USFL came from.
It came from the wild card, Churk Berzerk.
There you go.
Yep, you are the wild card. I love that you're embracing that name now. It's fantastic.
I mean, it's not a bad nickname.
Yep. I gave you that nickname out of love, Churk.
You guys done?
Anyway, so DraftKings Sportbooks to open at Wrigley Field. Tell me more about this, James.
On-site gambling. Come on. Isn't that going to be fantastic?
Who's been saying this since my first week on the show? On-site gambling is coming to a stadium near you. The fact that it's Wrigley Field, I think, is tremendous. Like,
Are they doing it like the Three Stooges, like in the court?
I have no idea what you're talking about. But they're going to have gambling windows at the stadium. So, yeah, people are going to be able to, bet during the game.
On TV.
It's going to be cool, too, because there's going to be fun, like, props and live bets, like, for each inning and stuff like that. And let's be honest, like, baseball needs something to bring people to the stadiums because a lot of people are staying and watching at home right now. And anytime you have the opportunity to, add to the experience, like, it's going to bring more people out. And not that Wrigley's ever, had a problem with drawing people out, but I think that this is just them. They're just leading the way on this charge. Like, they're just the first of many teams that are going to do this.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because if going to a Guardians game means that in the seventh inning you can go drop $10 on Emmanuel Clase coming in and getting the save, like that makes it more interesting for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So
You think this will develop in other sports now?
it'll be everywhere. Yeah,
It already has. It already is it for other sports.
yeah. In Europe, they've been doing this for a long time too. And I mean, in other sports, horse racing, car racing, they've had gambling at the windows for a long time. So yeah, this is just something that was inevitable as states legalize. Like it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bryce Harper, fractured thumb, needs surgery.
Shitty, sucks for baseball.
Yeah, it does. And it sucks for the Phillies because at least they're actually it appears they're actually trying to get into the playoffs this year. Keyword trying.
Well, everybody's trying.
I mean, yeah, but looking at the Phillies not having one of the best players in baseball, they're kind of screwed.
Yeah, they're currently 8 games back on the Mets. I don't think they have any real chance at contending in the division. And in terms of the wild card right now, let's see.
In terms of the wild card,
They're 3 games back from wild card 3.
yeah.
So yeah, they're this is a bad time for Harper to go down. You never want your best offensive player to go down at a time when you're kind of hanging on to your last thread for hoping to contend in the National League. So
Yeah. Right now, the Phillies are hosting the Braves, and then after that, they host one of the teams that's in front of them in the wild card race, the St. Louis Cardinals.
yeah, it just sucks. There's so many great baseball players that are injured right now.
Oh, yeah.
Even with getting Acuna back and, other guys are still out and they're, that we're waiting to get back. And to have Harper out again, it just sucks for the game.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I wanted to add one more thing about the Angels before we moved on. Did you guys see Mike Trout frustrated as all hell in center field because his pitcher was tipping pitches?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that poor guy. I feel so bad for Mike. I mean, he's out there and from center field, he knows he can see what his pitcher's doing, and he's tipping pitches. That was just that moment right there was like, oh, they finally got on camera just the whole essence of the Mike Trout experience in Anaheim, Los Angeles, California, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That poor guy is he's like in baseball purgatory there.
And but he's making a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, he's not struggling to make a living. I'll give him that. But when you're inarguably the best player of your generation, you want to win.
Come to Cleveland,
dude. This Guardians team is not going anywhere.
That's what I said. Mike Trout should come to Cleveland.
If Trout came to Cleveland, that would be interesting.
Yes,
it's not going to happen.
But and if it did happen, are we hosting a trophy?
No.
The World Series?
No.
He's not that good. He's good, but he ain't that good to get us over the hump against a team.
Him and Shane Bieber?
I think long term, obviously, adding the best player in baseball makes your team better, absolutely. But does it make it good enough for Cleveland to go into New York and beat them in a 7-game series? I don't think so.
No.
James,
and it'll never happen.
So
that's just
this is an invalid conversation.
Yeah.
Mike Trout comes to the plate 3 times a game, maybe 4.
Right. Not enough.
No. Yeah. Speaking of the Guardians, they are struggling. Got swept by the Red Sox. Got hammered against the Twins in Game 1 of this series, and then, yay! They ended their losing streak. And then what happened in Game 2 of the doubleheader yesterday? They get blanked 6-0.
Yeah. Yesterday, Game 2 sucked. That game sucked all of the ass.
Mm-hmm.
It was awful.
I mean, when I went to the Guardians game on Sunday against the Red Sox, was I expecting us to win? No, but I thought the game would at least be close.
You know who they needed, Bryan?
I mean, we've had this stretch of schedule circled for a while now. We knew this was going to be a very difficult run for the Guardians, and they're a very young team. So
they needed Taco.
They've definitely hit a little bit of a skid in their season. Lost a little bit of the momentum, and the wind doesn't appear to be at their sails like it was a week or 2 ago. But we're not playing so bad that we've put ourselves out of contention or anything like that. So it has it been an ugly week, sure, but I'm still very optimistic for the Guardians moving forward.
Yeah, right now they're in second place in the Central. They are 3 games back of the Twins, and then in the wild card, they're 2 games out.
Yeah,
all
these extra teams in the postseason now, like having 3 wild card teams really opens things up.
Yeah,
and with the AL Central being as bad as it is, anything can still happen there.
Right.
It's a young team. We were expecting this to happen. We were never going to continue the success we were on forever. So it's what do we do from here? Yeah. Now this is where we find out: is this more of the team, or is the team that was hot more?
Or we could bring back Sizemore.
What are you even talking about?
Grady?
He hasn't played baseball in a decade.
7 years old.
He's what?
He's 87 years old.
Huh.
He hasn't played in a decade, Churk. Yeah. Last time we saw Grady Sizemore play baseball, it was a very forgetful stint with the Phillies.
He has been out of the league since 2015. Church.
Was he even that good, in your opinion?
Wait. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Church thinks he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No. I don't watch baseball, so I can't really comment on Hall of Famer.
Grady was a good player. He was. I'm not saying he was not a good player, but he
got the best of them.
He has not been in the league for almost 10 years, so that's
time to come back.
Yeah.
No.
Do you know how time works?
He's not that old.
It's August 2nd. He'll be turning 40, and he hasn't.
That's not that old.
Yeah, but he hasn't played. Like he's done. He's retired.
Anyway. I think going back to what you said earlier, Bryan, with the 3 having the extra wild card teams or wild card team added. However, all 3 in the American League right now are AL East: Blue Jays, Red Sox, Rays.
Nobody's surprised, though.
No.
We knew that was going to happen going into this season.
Yeah.
That's why, honestly, I think realistically our best chance of making the postseason is probably winning the division.
That's
But yeah, and that's why we need to hopefully get back on track in this series with the Twins, because we could still, end this series out on a high note, and then we're in a completely different situation moving forward. So
yeah, especially since to close out the homestand, we get to go against the team that has the best record in all of Major League Baseball at 55-20, the New York Yankees.
Hey, they're due for a slump, so let's hope
They
it
are.
happens.
That's for sure. They're definitely due for a slump.
They are due for a slump.
Yeah, but I mean, we've got 2 games left against Minnesota. We got one today and one tomorrow. We win those 2 games, boom, game back, and we're right in this thing. So
And then whatever happens with the Yankees happens. Then we play the Tigers and Royals.
yeah,
So
this is all about just getting through this part of the season with as little damage as possible. Keep everybody healthy, and then we've got a little bit of a reprieve coming up with some lighter opponents on the schedule. So
World Series.
never know.
Thank you.
They need so much help. They really do.
James, you don't think
After
They need. Let's pretend.
they need Travis Hafner?
Good Christ, what is even happening?
Jesus.
what
Anyways, they need Joe Charbonneau. No,
Bryan's walking away from this.
yeah, because of your ridiculousness. But no, let's pretend the Guardians were actually going to make a run to the World Series. Here's what they would need: a huge upgrade at catcher. Okay, they would need someone who's an outfielder that can hit the ball over the wall, because they don't have that right now, and they would need a legit number 1 starting pitcher and another average pitcher to add to their rotation. Okay, that's what they would need. Expecting all of that is unreasonable. So, don't think they're going to the World Series.
No.
Not even with Shane Bieber?
No.
Shane Bieber alone can't do it, okay? Shane Bieber's good, okay? And he's not going to be what he was in 2020. I think it's time for us all to accept that. That's
Grady
not gonna happen.
Sizemore return?
I don't know what you're talking about. But
James, spoiler alert, nobody does.
So it's
Not even Churk?
looking at Bieber, he's a really good pitcher, but he's not what we saw in 2020. Okay, I think what you're going to get out of him velocity wise is going to be low 90s, which conversely in 2020 you saw high 90s, and so you're not going to see the same strikeout rate. You'll still see an effective pitcher. He'll still be the ace of the staff. That's fine, but talking about best pitchers in baseball, potential Cy Young Award winner, that's just not going to happen here.
Yeah, I agree. So after the Twins, we get the Yankees, Tigers, Royals, White Sox, Tigers, All-Star game, and then you go on another road trip to close out the month of July. White Sox, Red Sox, Rays, and then you come home to start the month of August against Arizona and Houston. That's the next month or so of games for the Guardians or series.
The key is going to be what it's always been. It's win 2 out of 3 or split a 4-game series. Hopefully win 3 out of 4. Okay, that's what they need to do. That's what it is. It's just win the series or split. Okay.
I'm looking at the schedule. Guardians have another one of those games on Peacock on August 7th against Houston. So, yeah.
Maybe I'll watch it. I don't know.
Anyway, so that's all the Major League Baseball stuff we've got. I really don't have a good transition for this, so I'm just not going to try.
Browns?
Yeah.
And we're talking Browns. We're talking Deshaun Watson.
Exactly.
And we're talking about how his hearing has begun and is continuing.
Yeah. You have written on here, Watson rejected a 1-year settlement from the league, which is now seeking an indefinite suspension, and should more lawsuits be filed.
Sorry about that, y'all. Amazon was here.
Oh, you're good. You're
okay,
good.
I didn't do that.
Got some coffee coming. No, I didn't walk away because of you, Churk.
because I brought up about Travis Hafner.
We're done with baseball, Churk. We're done. We're talking Deshaun Watson now.
The comment
And
was so bad.
This whole situation.
Yeah. We did move on.
Yeah, the trial is continuing. League wants a year-long suspension, although it sounds like they actually want an indefinite suspension. NFLPA doesn't want that. If I had to guess, they're going to settle on 8 to 10 games. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
I
much
predicted
changed.
this.
Yeah, I think that's probably what you were about to say, Churk. I don't think much has really changed with the situation. I don't think the most recent news really moved the needle one way or the other. We've always kind of known that the league was going to push for at least a year suspension and that we were always going to try to push for less. So I think eventually we end up somewhere in the middle and they try to count last year as some time served. And
yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if he is out for an entire year, maybe more.
So it's interesting that you bring that up about the possibility of him being out for the year. I actually just got an article published from Dog Pound Daily on Fanside. Not to say that the Browns should mail in the 2022 season, but is it too early to already be looking ahead to 2023?
No.
And the reason I asked that question is because going into the 2023 season, the Browns hopefully, or presumably I should say, won't have to deal with this Baker Mayfield situation. Because
speaking of which, he could do a good job.
Anyway,
he's got chance of redemption.
Anyway, I think by the end of the season, Baker Mayfield will be traded. In my opinion, he will be traded to the Seahawks. And then going into the 2023 season, we most likely will not have to deal with this whole Deshaun Watson suspension situation. Yeah. So that's my main reason why I'm asking the question. Is it too early to start looking ahead to the 2023 season?
Well, considering nothing's definite yet, then yes, it's too early. It's also too early because you look at the way the team's operated, in particular to this season, the way that they've put together a lot of things. They've essentially pushed their chips into the center of the table and said, "We're all in." Let's not forget, Jadeveon Clowney said the only reason he came back to Cleveland is Deshaun Watson's here. Okay,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's tired of being on teams that don't matter come playoff time. Okay. And he just signed a contract to a team that has a very good chance of not mattering come playoff time. Yeah. Let's say Deshaun Watson is suspended for the entire season and does have the indefinite tag placed on it at first that maybe gets taken off at some point in the future. We don't know if they do. They've suspended people indefinitely before, and you've never heard from them again. You know? Mm-hmm. I mean, who remembers when they threw down the indefinite suspension on Justin Blackmon? Then he just fell off the face of the earth.
I remember that.
Yeah, that's true.
When they throw down indefinite, they could just be like, we're not going to come back to this and be done with it.
So then did we waste money at that point?
Well, you wasted a lot of things.
Yeah, at that point, yeah. Right? But, I mean, it's a little too early to tell, at this point.
Even if he only gets the 1 year suspension going into the 2023-24 season, okay, you'll be looking at a quarterback who hasn't played in over 2 seasons as your starter that you have a lot of money earmarked for, and who is just, you don't know what you have at that point.
Right.
You can practice and do all this stuff all you want, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And what about Baker?
He's a non-factor in all of this.
Yeah. Baker thing's done. That's over. Yeah.
Baker's his time playing here is over. It's
you don't think he'll make a comeback?
No, it's just it's fantasy.
No, he's destined to play for either Seattle or Carolina. I don't know which one. Either or, it's going to be a disaster.
And how about Jacoby Magic?
Okay, what about Jacoby Brissett? What do you think the Browns do with Brissett if he has to be their starter for all 17 games? I think they're going to be in that 8-9, 9-8 range if they have to go with Brissett.
Yeah,
So they could go in the playoffs, is what you're saying.
That's not
No.
a playoff team.
No, I think I agree with you. I think you're right on the money, actually, James. If they have Jacoby Brissett as their starting quarterback this season, they're going 9-8. They will finish in third place once again. Cincinnati. I'll even take it a step further. Cincinnati will repeat as AFC North Division champions, but instead of Pittsburgh finishing in second place, it'll be, in my opinion, the Browns' biggest rival, the Baltimore Ravens, finishing in second place.
I think the Browns with Jacoby could win a Super Bowl.
You think they could have won a Super Bowl with Case Keenum? Okay.
And they should have played him more. I don't know why they didn't. They could have won more games.
Because they got tired of watching quarterbacks that were, under 6 feet tall not do enough. Okay.
But he was 6'3" is the thing. He could have done a lot.
Case Keenum's not 6'3".
Yes, he is.
Okay, does it really matter?
I didn't know they stacked shitty quarterbacks that tall.
I will say
He's 6'1". I got it wrong.
Told you.
Okay.
That's a generous 6'1". Okay.
Anyway,
Probably 5'10".
Anyway, looking at this season, if Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback, which presumably he's going to be, I think that they can still start the season 4-0. They can beat Carolina, they can beat the Jets, they can beat the Steelers, and they can beat the Falcons. 4-0. I don't think that's out of reach for them. I don't think that's too much of us to ask.
I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself, giving them a little bit too much credit here, because when you go from someone who has the talent level of Deshaun Watson to someone who has talent level of Brissett. Brissett's a really good backup, okay, but the margin for error shrinks so much.
Right.
Look at Nick Foles.
Who gives a fuck about Big Dick Nick Foles? We're not talking about him.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Look
Here's
what happened to his
the
career
deal.
after that.
But the margin for error shrinks so much that with Brissett, games that you should win, you're going to lose.
Yeah,
That's just
exactly.
I mean, Nick Foles wasn't bad.
Jacoby Brissett had pieces around him in Indy, and he did okay, but he's a backup, he's a career backup. That's always what
Nick Foles takes over the game, though.
You don't win Super Bowls with backup quarterbacks. You just don't.
Then how did the Eagles win that Super Bowl?
I mean,
Fine. It happened one time.
what are we doing? Yeah.
All right, Trent Dilfer.
He was your starter.
Churk, that when the Eagles won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, that's what we like to call in the sports business an anomaly.
Yeah.
It was amazing, though.
So, okay.
A lot of things are amazing.
Because something is amazing doesn't mean it's not an anomaly. And James, I do hear what you're saying, that the margin of error gets a lot smaller.
It does.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I totally agree with you. And Bryan, I also hear what you're saying about how he had the pieces around him in Indy and he was just okay. But I will say this. He does have arguably the best running back duo in the league with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Or I'm sorry, let me flip that. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. There we go. And he's got decent receivers around him. I wouldn't say any of them are great.
Especially Donovan Peoples-Jones.
But here's what I'll say.
And Schwartz.
When you're going from an offense led by Watson to one led by Brissett, you'll have similar concepts, but you have to run the ball more than you would with Watson. Okay.
Right.
And so what you're going to run into is a similar problem that we've seen over the past 2 years, and that's going to be teams not afraid of the Browns' passing attack. Okay. And so you can't do that again. If you're getting stuck in that same, getting pigeonholed in that same style of offense again with an offensive line which is not as good this year as it was the year before that,
Right.
then you have problems.
And let's talk about the least sustainable position in the NFL. It's the running back position. Just because they had success last year doesn't mean they'll have success this year. So if you get forced into being a one-dimensional team, Jacoby's not good enough to pass a team to victory. He's just not.
Okay.
I beg to differ, Brian. I think this could be the next Nick Foles here.
You also thought Taco was going to be Shaquille O'Neal.
I thought Taco was going to be playing I mean, if Taco was on the team, I think he could also be a good quarterback too.
You think Taco Fall could be a good quarterback in a sport he doesn't play? That's a good take.
You see this wall behind me? I want to slam my head against it right now.
Against the brick one?
No, I mean this cork board.
Ugh.
Ay, ay, ay.
Okay. Here's how I'll tell you this. In Jacoby Brissett's best season, okay, where he went 7-8, he averaged 18 completions on 29 attempts.
Not bad.
That's not bad, but that's not something that you're going to be like, this guy's leading this team to victory. I mean, I'm looking at his numbers. He averaged under 200 yards a game.
Yeah.
And what about his touchdown to
He wasn't taking chances, so that's why he has this inflated touchdown interception ratio. We saw this a year ago with Baker. Okay,
right.
This is the same thing. You're having a guy that doesn't take chances. He's being careful with the ball. Congratulations, you have a taller Tyrod Taylor. Okay,
Right.
but that's not a guy that's going to win you anything that matters.
Right.
He'll be better than Baker.
Jacoby will be better than Baker. I'm not arguing that.
He's better than Baker.
I'm just saying that he's not someone who you're like. He's not putting the team on his shoulders, leading you to victory.
Right.
Okay, your path to victory with Jacoby Brissett is very similar to the path to victory with Baker Mayfield, and that he is a passenger of the offense. The problem is that doesn't win shit when it comes playoff time.
It
Right.
really doesn't.
Yeah, it's just a fact of the matter is you can win with Jacoby Brissett. Nobody's not saying that we can't win games with them, but like the point here is that we want to win a Super Bowl. That's what you pay a guy like Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed to do. Is you do that because you want to win a Super Bowl. And when you talk about a guy like Jacoby Brissett, you're talking about a career backup player, and that's not going to get you there. Especially when you look at the receiving core led by Amari Cooper, who's not even. We've said on the show a million times, he's not even a really true number one receiver.
Right.
Like, you got to be realistic when you look at it. And to think that Jacoby's going to take us to an AFC North championship is just ludicrous.
I think
Right.
it's reasonable.
That's why we all said, or at least the three of us said, if Jacoby Brissett is our starting quarterback, we're looking at probably 8-9 or 9-8 and missing the playoffs.
Best
think
case
we'll-
scenario 10-7, and you still not might.
We'll
might
make
not.
the playoffs. I think that.
I don't think they make the playoffs. Okay, here's what it comes down to, and Bryan just said half of it. Okay, you can win games with Jacoby Brissett, but you can't win games because of Jacoby Brissett, and that's what it comes down to.
And how about Josh Dobbs?
If Josh Dobbs is playing, a lot of things have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay.
We're talking about third stringers now. What about Josh Dobbs? Like,
I mean,
I
for
agree
what
with-
worth, Jacoby Brissett has 2 career fourth quarter comebacks, 3 career game winning drives.
yeah.
So
That's
like
it.
what you so if I'm hearing you correctly, James, you're saying like when the Kansas City Chiefs win a game, they win it because of Patrick Mahomes, not with
Yeah.
him.
They can, yeah. He's a guy that can take over a game, and you will absolutely win because of him.
Mhm.
Okay. Or like what with Buffalo, like the Bills can win.
It's because of Josh Allen. For the Bucs, it's because of Tom Brady. It's because of Aaron Rodgers. It's because of Matthew Stafford. Okay, it's because of those guys. Teams that win games. The Browns won with Baker Mayfield. Okay, you look at the Vikings. They won with Kirk Cousins. They won games.
Which can happen with the Browns with Jacoby.
When the Ravens were good, they won because of Lamar Jackson. When they were good. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay,
But-
let me ask you on that quickly. When they won the Super Bowl, did they win it because of Joe Flacco,
No.
or did they win it with Joe Flacco?
They weren't with Joe Flacco, who was on the hottest hot streak of his career. But
Yeah.
let's not forget how good that defense was. Okay, that's what led them there. Okay, Joe Flacco having the most incredible completion of his entire career in the playoffs is what got them there. So good for him. He had some plays. Occasionally that happens, but there's a reason he wasn't able to replicate that. It's because that was the exception to the rule for Joe Flacco's career.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. Joe Flacco was kind of overrated.
Okay, I was not trying to start a whole Joe Flacco conversation.
So, anyways, let's move this forward. Okay. The other day, apparently nobody knows how to read quotes, and so everyone decided to run with the line of Baker Mayfield closes the door on the Browns because no one apparently remembers what happened.
Right.
The Browns closed the door on him. He didn't close the door on the Browns. Okay.
Right.
I don't know why this keeps being a thing. I see terrible article after terrible article posts on very suspect platforms being like, one, in support of somehow trying to make Baker Mayfield work again, or two, making it look like Baker Mayfield had any choice in the matter. Okay. Like, the Browns told him no. Like, get lost. They told him, they excused him. They made it so they're not fining him for not being at the facility. You know what I mean? He had no choice in it.
And Josh Dobbs, who are two totally different,
Josh, I think he could win us a Super Bowl.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
I think we're going there regardless.
No, they're not. But
No. Churk, they're not even the best team in the state of Ohio. The Cincinnati Bengals are better than the Browns.
That was one good season.
No, I don't think so. I think this is legitimately the start of the Bengals.
They have a guy you can win because of. They have a
they
Joe.
do.
Bingo.
They have a guy you can win because of.
But he gets injured a lot.
He got injured once.
He's been injured once, and he's only been in the league for a couple
2 years. Yeah.
And
small sample size.
And think about this, Churk. Even though that offensive line was shitty, who represented the AFC in the Super Bowl? That would be the Cincinnati Bengals. And did you not watch that last play? If Joe Burrow had a few more seconds, he had a wide open receiver he could have hit for the game-winning touchdown to give Cincinnati the Super Bowl.
I'm glad they didn't win.
The right team won.
The right team won, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, the right team did win.
The right team did win.
I'm not disputing that. Hey, by the way, Stan Kroenke actually is having a really good season because I did not know this, but he owns the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh, wow.
He owns a lot of things.
Yeah.
So,
I don't really particularly care about rich white billionaires.
I don't either.
Old white billionaires.
They're not doing anything for us.
Right.
Bingo.
Doesn't do shit for me. I don't care who owns the damn team. I will say shout out Colorado Avalanche though. I always like the Avalanche because I hate the fucking Red Wings. And there was some really great battles in the late 90s between the Avs and the Red Wings.
oh yeah, they just put out that documentary on ESPN, Unrivaled. I need to watch
Anybody that's a hockey fan, go watch that. That it is one of the best years of NHL hockey that I can remember ever following. It was absolutely electric. So, yeah, good for the Avs to come back and win one. But
yeah. Getting back to football though, Terry McLaurin, he signed an extension with the Commanders. I was actually surprised by this. I thought once the Commanders traded for Carson Wentz, Terry McLaurin was going to be like, hell no, I don't want this guy to be my quarterback. Please get rid of me and send me to a team with a legit quarterback.
Money talks.
Money does talk. And let's be real here. The future of Carson Wentz in Washington, we don't know what that's going to be. Probably not going to be there long term, if you wanted my opinion on this. But I think he's betting on getting a better quarterback moving forward, even though that he's had some of the worst quarterback play of any receiver in the league since he came into the NFL. In his career, this is per Warren Sharp of Sharp Football, he's ran 1,629 routes. Okay. He was only targeted on 357 of those. And of those targets, only 62% of them were catchable. Okay. Carson Wentz has ranked dead last in accuracy over the last 2 years. And so, going to be pretty rough. But, like, the quarterbacks that have thrown him passes, like, get ready for this list. Taylor Heineke, Dwayne Haskins, Alex
Rest in
Smith,
peace.
Case Keenum, Kyle Allen, Colt McCoy, Garrett Gilbert, Logan Thomas.
Poor guy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Now,
I think that
hardly mention his awfulness to this.
I think James said it. Like, there's a lot of good young quarterbacks that are getting ready to come into the league. Like, last year's draft class absolutely sucked at quarterback. The next few couple classes are going to have some absolute studs. And I think that he's looking long term here. He saw how the Carson Wentz experiment went in Indy. He's probably anticipating it goes the same way here in Washington. You know, he just gets through the season, tries to put up his numbers, doesn't get hurt, and then boom, you bring in a guy like a Bryce Young or a Quinn Ewers or any of these young guys that might be the next big thing. So
yeah. Before we wrap things up, because we got about 5 minutes, what is happening with like the Commanders and the Congress and all that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they're looking into their history of sexual harassment and all this other stuff, which is this whole investigation is the reason John Gruden got canned by the Raiders. But Dan Snyder still has not accepted his subpoena yet, which I find to be kind of hilarious because
he's been out there dodging, ducking, diving, dodging, and dipping.
He's anywhere but in this country right now. Anyone associated with him and his legal team, I think, are like in France right now, or at least they were.
He is like fucking Carmen Sandiego right now. He's all over the globe trying to avoid getting that subpoena handed to him.
If there's a bigger admission of guilt, it's avoiding the subpoena.
Yep. Yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah. So to sum it up, Josh, is he's on the run. He's doing everything he can to not be handed that stack of papers. If I had to guess, he's got a team of about 20 to 30 men that surround him at a radius 6 feet each direction, and they just block any fucking papers that come. Anybody comes near with paper, they're just Dikembe Mutombo swatting the fucking shit out of it.
So,
because once those papers are in his hand, he's getting subpoenaed and he's going to be in a lot of fucking trouble.
So let me ask you this. How is Congress getting involved with this when the NFL and the Commanders are a private entity?
That's a question more for Google. You might want to read up on the case a little bit more, learn a little bit more about it.
Google has that answer for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces and parts to this investigation, Josh, but I understand what your question is. I actually just read something recently. I'll send it your way when the show's over.
Okay.
But yeah, the gist of it is that he knows he's guilty of all sort of shit. They're trying to serve him papers so that he can eventually have his day in court, and he's doing everything he can to keep that from happening. That's the sort of it.
Gotcha.
But his day is coming. It's unavoidable. It'll be here eventually. So
yeah. And the Commanders have arguably the worst logo in sports. It's just a W.
They've got some.
They'll probably
update
it over time.
It's similar. I mean, you look at the Wizards and you look at just Washington sports in general right now. It's just pure chaos, just everywhere, up and down the board. I feel really bad for that market because
including their hockey team,
the Capitals.
They're on the wrong side of. They came and they went. Their peak is over.
Yeah. They're lucky they won the cup in 2018 because they're shit now.
Obi's playing soccer now. He's out there scoring goals. So,
All right. So to close out the show, I said at the end of last week's show that I had an announcement. So that announcement is on Sunday, I am going down to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the Honda Indy 200, which is the big IndyCar race that is happening this weekend. And I will be down there with a couple buddies, and I will be representing So What's the Catch? And in fact, I will actually be posting some footage from the race, posting it here on the channel. You may even get some commentary. So there you go.
Sweet. IndyCar racing. Who's the favorite in that? Is there a favorite? Do we know?
Not that I know of.
I don't know any names in IndyCar right now. I usually know a name or two.
Jeff Gordon?
No.
That's NASCAR, and he's retired, but good try. You're on the right track.
The defending champion from last year is Joseph Newgarden.
Well,
okay, cool.
Ricky Bobby?
Ricky Bobby, yeah.
You like that movie?
Gerard. Yeah.
What did he say? Like of excellence, he
Wakes up and he pisses
his
excellence.
excellence. Yeah.
Wake up in the morning and I piss excellence.
Ay, ay, ay.
Big Barry American winning machine.
I want to go a little more serious here. A couple athletes passed away recently. Tony
Which one?
Saragusa
Oh yeah, Goose passed. All right.
and Caleb Swanigan.
Yeah. Rest in
You
peace to both of them.
You did hear about both those, Brian?
Yeah, I did. Swanigan was only 26 years old. That's really sad. I mean,
yeah.
Siragusa obviously he wasn't in the peak physical,
Neither was Swanigan.
thing like that. But yeah, anytime a young guy that's only 26 passes away, it's really
It's sad.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
shout out to those guys. Prayers up if you do that sort of thing. If not, keep them in your thoughts.
Mhm.
Yep. Prayers up. Anybody got any final thoughts?
I hope you have a tremendous time at the IndyCar race and that no tires fly off or anything crazy like that.
I hope you see.
I don't know dick about IndyCar racing. I don't know what happens at a track at an IndyCar race.
It's
I
a
hope-
lot.
You have a good time there.
It is a lot of fun. The cool thing with this race is you don't have to sit in one spot. You can walk all around the track while the race is happening and get different perspectives as the race is happening.
Sweet.
It's
Well, yeah, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. Be looking out over the weekend for Josh's extra content, and then hopefully we come back next week with some good Guardians news. We'll be back in first place in the AL Central.
Yes. So we will see you next week. Make sure you subscribe to the So What's the Catch YouTube channel. By the end of summer, I want to be at 100 subscribers.
That's a good
Good
goal.
goal.
Let's get there.
Tell-
Yeah, share this one with your friends. Thanks, guys.